First off, I would like to thank you all for coming. I see a lot of new faces, which is nice, and it's even nicer to see the same people that came to the first event. So thank you for that. Now, a brief introduction. My name is João Oliveira. I'm a software engineer at ROF. I have a master's degree in computer and telematics by the Oliveira University. I've worked in a couple of startups and large companies, and I am also one of the co-founders of OPO.js. Now, regarding OPO.js and Meteor. Full disclosure, I am not a Meteor expert. About 4 or 5 weeks ago, when we got together to talk about this event, I decided I wanted to speak here tonight. And I decided I wanted to do that for 2 reasons. First reason, it scared the crap out of me. It looked like something I would feel very uncomfortable doing, so here I am. Second reason was because of the subject, because of Meteor. I had 2 options. Either I picked a subject which was something I worked with every day, some web technology, Angular, a bit of Node, whatever, or I could use the opportunity to force myself to learn something new and to show you all about it. So last few weeks I've been spending my free time 30 minutes a day watching some videos, reading some tutorials, cloning some GitHub projects to learn whatever I could about Meteor. So I'm telling you this because I want to issue the same challenge to any one of you that has the same some kind of interest or some kind of curiosity about the new technology. Please learn about it and talk to us, and we will let you present what you've learned here at the next event. So let's move on. What is Meteor? The official description of Meteor is it's a complete open source platform for building web and mobile apps in pure JavaScript. Now, a brief history about Meteor. It was announced first. This framework was announced as Skybreak in 2011. A month later, it changed its name to Meteor. Later that same year, in 2012, it got its first funding round, which was a big deal because it was led by Andreessen Horowitz, which is arguably the most important and the biggest venture capitalist firm in Silicon Valley. So that got a lot of press and a lot of enthusiasts behind it. Fast forward to this year, just last month, end of last month, Meteor released Meteor 1.0, which was the first stable release for writing applications, packages, and books and tutorials. And it was also supported for production use. That meant that you can start using Meteor without being afraid that the following week some of the functions became deprecated. Also, last week, big event worldwide, Meteor Day, around the world in 134 cities, including one in Portugal. Beggin.js, I think some of the members are here. Are you here? Okay, they held a Meteor event in Braga, so that was cool. Maybe next year we'll have more cities here in Portugal doing Meteor Day. Now, because of these recent events, Meteor Day and Meteor 1.0, there has been a lot of developments, a lot of new apps being built, a lot of new functionalities. But I will center this presentation around the core principles of Meteor. Later I will give you some references so you can find out what's being made more recently. Now, Meteor core principles. There are 7 of them. Data on the wire, latency compensation, one language, we all know what it is, database everywhere, full stack reactivity, embrace the ecosystem, and simplicity equals productivity. Let's take a quick look on each one of them. Okay, official description for data on the wire. Meteor does not send HTML over the network. the server sends data and lets the client render it. What does this mean? Now, on a traditional response and request app, the client says, "Hey server, give me all the talks, give me all of the OPO.js talks, for instance." And the server says, "Here are the talks, and here is the HTML to display them." That's all the browser knows what to do. They make a request, they wait for the response, and they display that response. Now, on a Meteor app, we want to subscribe to data. We want to know all about the talks that the server knows, and if there are new talks that the server knows, we want to know about them also. When the client finds out about new data from the server, it figures out how to put it on the page instead of the server saying, "Here's all the HTML." So that's data on the wire, subscription to data. Next principle, latency compensation. This is a very important one. On the client, Meteor prefetches data and simulates models to make it look like server method calls return instantly. Let's see the differences again. On a traditional app, you make a post request. The server does some work, maybe writes to the database, and then comes back with the updated HTML with the new talk in it. On a Meteor app, when you want to write data, we already know that the client subscribes to data over time. This means that the client has an in-memory local cache of all the data that it knows about. When a client wants to make a change to that data, it just does it locally. It updates the local cache, makes the changes to update the page, while at the same time, while sending a message to the server, informing the server about that change. When the response from the server comes back, the client has already previously predicted successfully everything that it needed to do. So, next principle, one language. Meteor lets you write both the client and the server parts of your application in JavaScript. Now, we all know that both on the client side and the server side, you have lots of different frameworks or languages or engines, servers. Meteor is an opinionated framework. It believes that JavaScript can be used to do everything, basically, both on the client and on the server. This means that everything is JavaScript, optionally. This means that Meteor has implemented a protocol, which is called DDP, Data-Driven Protocol, that allows communication between the server and the client in the form of messages, similar to WebSockets, and you can use the same APIs on the client and on the server. This does not mean that you cannot implement a client in Objective-C or Swift or Java and communicate with a server that's built on Meteor. Number 4, database everywhere. As I mentioned, the in-memory local cache, you can use the same methods to access your database from the client or the server. The client has a replica set that is a mini Mongo, and the server has a Mongo database on it, so we can replicate the same data and synchronize it on both ends. Now, full stack reactivity. In Meteor, real time is the default. All the layers from the database to the templates update themselves automatically when necessary. Number 6, embrace the ecosystem. Meteor is open source and integrates with existing open source tools and frameworks. Meteor is I think today is the 11th most starred repository on GitHub, and it has a whole community building packages for it. Atmosphere is a trusted source for JavaScript. It's the official and trusted source of JavaScript packages and Meteor resources. You can browse packages by trending ones, the most recent or the most used. Some of the most famous are the account's password, which allows you to integrate immediately some kind of user registration, user authentication. The email package, which allows you to send email, and other packages that help you use your applications more effectively, and use other frameworks that you know about. Number 7, simplicity equals productivity. The best way to make something seem simple is to have it actually be simple. Meteor's main functionality has clean, classically beautiful APIs. One of my favorite quotes is, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, and Meteor subscribes to it too. Okay, let me show you a simple app built in Meteor. Can you all see? Okay. To build an app, you have to download Meteor from meteor.com. You have to paste the command in your command line, and it will install it in your computer. Then you can use Meteor create name of the app, and it will create you a new app immediately. Now I have already created an app for this talk that has some scaffolding on it, so we can move faster. Let me show you the code. Now I have a CSS file, an HTML file, and a JavaScript file. The HTML file has simple HTML, and it has a templating language called Spacebars, which is based on handlebars, and it's pretty simple. You can add templates to the HTML and then work on it. Now, this template has a body, a container, has 2 templates, one for the header and one template for the list of talks. In the list of talks, we want to iterate the talks that we want to see. Now, if I run this, and the JavaScript file, let me explain you how we build a Meteor app in JavaScript. Now, first off, we want to define a collection. In this case, we define a collection called talks, and then let me just give you a first version of this JavaScript. So, and then we will improve it. Now, define a collection. Attribute a variable that's accessible both on the client side and the server side, and then define code for the server and for the client. Meteor has a model of publish and subscribe. So we want to publish things on the server side, and we want to subscribe them on the client side. So on the server side, we want to publish talks, and we will return whatever comes in whatever is present on the collection, and on the client side, we want to subscribe to those talks. Also on the client side, we want to populate the variable that we are going to iterate on this cycle. So let's run this simple app. To run, just type Meteor, and it will create a local server, and you can access it here on the local hosts. Just a second. Okay. Here's my local host. Here's my app. Let me open the console. Okay. Here's my app. My list of talks is empty, so I'm going to use some Mongo commands to insert data, and I'm going to insert it directly on the client. Now this is going to insert the talks in my mini Mongo, and then it will synchronize to the server. Okay, here it is. This is persistent, so if I open another window to localhost, it will have the same data. Okay, each talk has a title, a speaker, and a number of votes. Now let's do something with this. Let's put a button here near at each talk, and let's allow the app to vote on each talk. To do so, let me use some more scaffolding. Basically, the template is going to now have a button here, and the JavaScript is going to have some more stuff that I will explain. Now, with the new stuff here is, okay, when you're on the client, if you want to define an event for that template. So when you click an element with this class, you can call a method using Meteor call and the name of the method. Now, if you notice, the method is not defined on the server, on this part. It's defined outside. It's common to the client and the server. This will allow you to have latency compensation because it will run on both ends. Now, each time I save a Meteor file, it's on the background. It does something called hot code push, that it reflects instantly and pushes the code back to your app, both on the server side and the client side. Okay. Now I have a like button in both my clients, and I can start voting on the talks, and it will reflect. Now, when I pass these 8 votes, the client will reflect that change, because I forgot to mention, when I'm populating the talks variable, I added a sort. I wanted to sort the talks by number of votes. Now I did no code on the template end for this to happen. It's the full stack reactivity principle at work here. Now you can vote on each one of these. Now, one last thing. If I want to deploy this app already into production, Meteor has a command called Meteor deploy, and then it has some production machines ready for you to deploy your app at any time. So I want to deploy this to OPO.js.meteor.com, always at the domain.meteor.com, and this will, let me put some number here because I already deployed it earlier. Okay, we will check this 44 in a second also. Let me use this, what did I call? OPO.js.meteor.com, and this is live in here also. Now, on the production side, there is no data, so let's populate the database also. Okay. Here I have 2 live production sites. You can access them on your cell phones and start voting. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but on the client that I'm using to vote, the response is much quicker than on the left side, because the left side is reading from the server, and on the right side I'm updating it first locally and then waiting for the response for the server. Okay. This is latency compensation. I can check this by seeing the network here in the WebSocket. You can see the messages that are coming back from the server. Okay, we have some votes coming in. And then if I update this, if I vote some 67 and I see the frames here coming from the WebSocket, I can see that that talk is already reading or receiving messages telling them that the votes are 67, 68. Okay, people are starting to have fun. Cool. Okay, that's it. It's really simple and fast to deploy a Meteor app, and it has all these advantages. What? Okay, I'm racing here. Okay, back to the demo for a while. Okay. Next up, I want to show you some resources if you want to keep learning about Meteor. At meteor.com, the official website, you have a tutorial, and you have the full documentation for this framework, and you have 2 example apps. One is a fully workable to-do app, a classical to-do app that has that works very good. Let me just show it real fast. Okay, a to-do app. Okay, you can build it. You could build it locally. Okay. This might take a while. So you have an example app for a to-do list and an example app for a mobile web app built natively using Cordova /PhoneGap. So back to the talk. Okay. Just put this app running. Back to the talk. Another resource is Bulletproof Meteor. This is a very useful course if you want to learn some more about the performance of Meteor. If you want to, I don't know, run asynchronous code. For example, you want to send an email to a list of users. Instead of waiting for each mail to be sent, you can defer that execution and move fast. You can learn more about subscription caching to avoid high CPU loads, and you can learn about CPU profiling. Kadira is a performance monitoring tool for Meteor that is very useful for production applications that can help you find bottlenecks and track all of your data and metrics. And the YouTube. Most of what I learned was on YouTube. I recommend especially the Meteor dev shops that are happening regularly in San Francisco and London. That's it. Let me just see if my app is running, my to-do app is running. Okay, here it is. A simple example of a to-do app in Meteor, and you can explore the code all you want. It's very cool and complete. That's it. Thank you.